Audio Jungle.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Desja and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition, that's FOL special, there are latest developments surrounding court cases in Liberia, specifically the CPP case with the NEC, that's the National Election Commission, and also the Cummings case, that is the case filed by ALP, Benina Ure, against Mr. Alexander Cummings for forgery. There have been some latest developments, and we thought to talk to a legal mind to explain what is going on, what the ramifications are, and what are the necessary next steps in these latest developments. I'm happy that we have a host of 2A Radio, also the CEO, Attorney James Jensen. Anthony, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are glad to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Mr. Jad. And it's a pleasure to be on your show. Liberia needs individuals to keep mounting pressure for the sole purpose of getting that country to change for the good. We can be counting years and yet situation remains the same. So we are glad to be part of the communication wave of how we can help to impact our society. Regarding the cases you spoke about, I'm here and I hope that I will be able to add my voice and I hope to make sense out of the prevailing situation. So once again, I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you so much. It is very important that we first understand what these cases are. A lot of us are politically attached, or we attach to political parties and individuals. So sometimes it is hard to distinguish our opinions, our emotions from the facts. And that
Right.
is why we at Focus on Liberia find it very important to always talk to a legal mind on these issues, and then we can go out with our political spin. Again, welcome, Anthony Jensen. It's a pleasure having you. You've been on Focus on Liberia twice now, and please feel free to make this your home. And since this is my first time hosting you, I say welcome, and this is our bottle of water to say this is
Yeah,
your home.
thank you. You know, I was thinking about Liberia when you called me, and I was thinking, why are media institutions making every effort to discuss the issues, and why those who are in government, sometimes you call them, they are not willing to come and discuss the issues? The Constitution demands that the people should be informed about the workings of the government, and I think you are doing just that, and many other talk show hosts are doing that, try to inform Liberian, but it should be the other way around. Government should be there willing to always discuss the issues. So once again, I'm glad to be here, and let's keep the ball rolling. Whatever my take will be, I hope I make sense.
Thank you, and you are right. Okay, government people should be happy to discuss this issue, but unfortunately, they are none, and then there is no punishment for that. We don't punish them for not for refusing to talk to us. We don't punish them, or we don't even ask them. We don't demand. We most of the time we act like they are doing us a favor, and so we try to trot behind them like obedient pets, trying to get them to commit
Mm.
to do the work they are being paid to do. But let's the first thing here is the NEC hearing. So this is how it started. The CPP has their clause that if you leave the CPP, you cannot field a candidate in your own name. There were two parties withdrew from the CPP, and their contention say, "Hey, that clause was never there before. It was one of those that was inserted or criminally inserted by Mr. Cummings. So that's why we are in court. So we can't honor that. But the case is in court. The CPP or wing of Mr. Cummings and Mr. Belletti, they say, hey, you cannot field your candidate. So there is a by-elections, upcoming by-elections for Lofa County. And so these two parties representing the CPP now saying the Unity Party cannot field a candidate. So the case went to the NEC hearing officer, and here are the steps that it went through. The NEC hearing officer issued their ruling preventing UP from fielding their candidates. Well, they say, well, this case needs to go to the Supreme Court, but in the meantime, your candidate's name is not going to be on the list. The UP filed an appeal to the NEC Board of Commissioners. Today, the Board of Commissioners ruled the upholding what the ruling of the hearing officer. So now it is likely that the Unity Party will take an appeal to the Supreme Court. Anthony Jensen, first of all, walk me through the case and whether the NEC has the authority to even handle this case.
Thank you so much. And let me start by saying this. The Unity Party and the ALP, the lawyers of those parties did not do justice for those parties. And the parties are dwelling on what I would assume the lawyers are telling them to do. Because it should not be the other way around. Partisans should not be telling lawyers what to do. It is lawyers that should be telling the partisans what the law is or what the procedural steps are. Why am I saying that?
Yeah.
There's an allegation that Alexander Cummings authored the framework document of the collaborating political parties. Let us assume that is true. What should have been the very first step? Since these people have filed the framework document with the National Elections Commission. The National Election Commission is the custodian of a document that the collaborating parties rely on.
Yeah.
So for anyone to go to a tribunal, to a court, the very first question I will ask, who is the custodian or who is having this document that we assume that one of our kind has tampered with? Since the lawyers are aware that this document was filed before the NEC, in my view, and I've said it before on this platform and I've said it onto a radio likewise, that until those who are in a disagreement with the document, those who think that document, something is wrong with it, the only body that is responsible that should be able to say something wrong with that document is the National Election Commission. By they who disagree, submitting the evidence before that body, and the evidence being convincing to that body can say, hey, wait a minute, something is wrong with this document for sure. If the ALP and the UP had gone to the National Election Commission, first and foremost, challenging the document before the National Election Commission, submitting all pieces of evidence in their possession, the National Election Commission would have ruled in their favor. Now, wait a minute, something actually wrong with this document. Assuming that was the case, then the UP and the ALP would have had reason to file a criminal case against Alexander Cummings and others. But the fact that the Unity Party and ALP missed that step, they will have to go back. And this is what I want to be on the record for this. If the ALP and the UP failed to go back and file a petition before the National Election Commission to withdraw their association with the collaboration, they will not be allowed to take part in the 2023 elections. The current case about assuming that they will go.
Anthony, a lot of things you say here. Let me stop you. I beg you.
Okay.
Because the first place you stated here is you are saying they should have first gone to the NEC to say, hey, the document you have in your possession is not the correct document, it's being forged.
Right.
How will the NEC determine that? Because the NEC did not have any original copy to say, here is this copy and here is this another copy, and this is the deviant copy, if I will put it that way.
That's a good question. That's a good question. But this is why parties go to court. The court is not a party to anybody who has a problem with a situation like the framework document.
Right.
The document that is in the possession of NEC is considered to be legitimate, is considered to be valid.
Right.
Even the hearing officer said it, this is a valid document until otherwise ordered. Until it is challenged, that document remains a valid document with the National Election Commission. And the election commission, the National Election Commission is going to uphold the provisions, the provisions of that document in its entirety, because it's been sworn on, it's been submitted until it is challenged. The United Party, now this is not a big show, and this is what I think. People want to be told what they perceive, but that's not it. In the legal practice, lawyers should be able to quickly sense a situation, and if you make a mistake, to do what is right. Now, I'm saying this because I said it in our last discussion on the show, that if the United Party is not careful, it's not just a by-election, she may not take part in the 2023 elections.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how could they have filed this case with
And
the
that's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
let us assume that the ALP and the UP had copy of a document in their possession that is contrary from what is being filed with NEC.
Correct.
During the trial, the hearing officer would have called a case the same way that what is going on would have still, would have been a procedural step. The hearing officer would have taken the complaint and cite all of the parties and would have gone the same way. They would listen to the complaining party will submit all of their complaint, all of the pieces of evidence will come into play. From those testimonies and the argument and all of those stuff, the hearing officer would have ruled to say, hey, from evidence in our possession, indeed it is true that there is a difference between the document that was filed with us and the one that is being presented during trial. And what is being presented during trial is not the same as the one that is being filed with us. So indeed, we agree with the complaining party that there is something wrong with this thing. Assuming that would have been the situation, then the National Election Commission does not have the power to try anybody criminally.
Right.
But the ruling from the National Election Commission would have been a clear evidence of proof to take to any criminal court to say, hey, Alexander Cummings committed this act of criminality. But let me say this again. The magisterial court is not playing with that case, but the magisterial court has no document, no evidence. Where is the evidence in the possession of the UP or the NEC to file or to argue before the magisterial court? All that is going on is just a political play. Because at the end of the day, the magisterial court has not subpoenaed the NEC, and the magisterial court does not have any authority to subpoena the NEC to submit before it the document that is in their possession, the collaborative framework document. Hence, the framework document that is in the possession of the NEC is the legitimate document that should be challenged. So having they done that, what is the argument before the magisterial court? What is the evidence? The magisterial court, now, this is what we do in law. It doesn't matter whether you have copy of the document before the NEC. The document, similar document could be in the possession of all of those guys. But as far as the law is concerned, the document that should be challenged is what is in the possession of the NEC. Let us assume some of the members who are there, some of the NEC workers stole the document, photocopy, and send it to anybody else. That is still not a document. There's a legal way, a procedural way to get the document.
Right. No, you have a point. You have a point because and even when the case started with this framework document alleged tampering with, what I was calling for was this is very simple. Why can't we get the original document and the false document placed side by side so we can see what the differences are? And unfortunately, neither the ANC nor the ALP could do that. I mean, this was very simple. You said this document is false. We couldn't get that. You have to set up a committee. All you need to do is just present it with the two documents. Let's spot the differences.
And I told somebody, I said, you know what? The ANC doesn't have burden of proof on them. Those who are alleging that Alexander Cummings, now when you're talking, people think that you are supporting a political party or you are a partisan. But that's not the case here. The issue is a glaring fact that they all started playing games. The issue with their collaborating political party is leadership crisis. They all came to a point they were trying to figure out who would be standing up for the political party, for CPP.
Yeah.
Now the disagreement, all of these people try to find out what was happening. It's highly possible that Alexander Cummings would have tampered with the document. Highly possible. They all are in the political game. But how do we sit and agree with those who are arguing when they are not following the procedural step to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that indeed this took place? You run to the magisterial court. Now this is the catch, right? The National Election Commission says the document in our possession is valid, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the magisterial court is going to say? That is not coming fraud document. Which document is the magisterial court going to be relying on? NEC said the document in our possession is valid as far as we are concerned. It has not been challenged until it is challenged. This is a legitimate document. That's what NEC says. The Board of Commissioners have agreed to that. When and let me say this again, even if the UP decides to go to the Supreme Court will tell them the same thing that is being said by the hearing officer and the Board of Commissioners. Why? Because this is a clear matter. In fact, this is not a constitutional issue in this matter. When you say that people want to argue, right? I said it here before somebody said, oh no, why you say that? But this is it. What is the constitutional question? None of them will say it. What is the constitutional question for which you want to go to the Supreme Court?
The constitutional question here is you are denying a party from running in an election, and they have the right. And also the constitutional issue here is you are telling them you can't leave the CPP. If you leave the CPP, you have to change your name. Your name is Anthony James N. Jensen. If you leave the CPP, you will no longer be called James Jensen. You're going to be called Flomo Batekwa.
Okay, this is the issue, right? Okay, this is it. For me, those are not the constitutional questions I would have expected. Let us assume that the ALP, the UP, all right, that challenged the process, their own arrangement, their own intention to have entered into a collaboration. Let us assume that they challenged that, and the National Election Commission still decided to deny them participating into election. The right accrue them to withdraw from an association if they have followed the procedural steps as laid down by statute. Now, Article 17 of the Constitution that speaks of association is not in vacuum. Mm-hmm. It says you have a right to associate and you have a right to disassociate.
Yeah.
But in Liberia, that association, there was no ambiguity. But for purposes of vagueness, the word association, members of the legislature decided to pass this association law of Liberia, for which before you file an article where you had to file an article of incorporation, you had to put all your documents before then and go and get those documents. Like in the case of NEC, since this is a political party, there's a requirement set by statute. And the collaborative political party met those requirements. That's how they were certificated. Now, when that has taken place, they needed to challenge the process to withdraw from the collaboration. And until then, these guys will not be allowed to participate into an election by themselves. Now, the 8.5 that is being talked about, you care to read it?
Yes.
That makes sense out of it? Post it and read it. Let's read it instead of this street argument. Let's see what the law says.
8.5 of the CPP framework document, right?
Yeah. A constituent party, you read.
A constituent party desiring to withdraw from the CPP shall first exhaust the dispute resolution mechanism stipulated in this framework document. Mm-hmm. If the constituent party which has satisfied the dispute resolution mechanism is not satisfied with the outcome, right, it shall file a resolution to withdraw from the CPP signed and duly executed by 2/3 of its National Executive Committee. Right. It being understood, however, that a party withdrawing from the alliance prior to the next presidential, legislative, and local elections shall not field candidates in its name.
In its name. So let you must understand the phrase in its name. Whose name?
CPP name or party's name?
In CPP name. If you withdraw, if you got married to somebody and the woman say, I don't want you again, You all go to court. You are in the whole matter. That woman, you tell the woman, say, you know what? Same with divorce now, you're not going to use my name. Right?
Right.
Doesn't that make sense?
That makes sense.
The hearing officer told them that's how they understood this 8.5. It's not saying you can't go as an individual and do what you want to do. Just follow the procedural steps. When that is done, any election you're taking part in, you will not go or you will not use CPP name. That's what I'm understanding that. Not that you can use the United Party name or you can use the ALP name.
Right, and
But
that's that because it's like an unclear pronoun reference, right?
right. But the pronoun is
Because
clear. The pronoun in there is very clear. It says, well, when you should have done all of these things, you cannot use what? Its name. Its name. What is it? It is what? Go to the previous point. The CPP is what is being talked about, not ALP or ULP. So the pronoun is used replacing the CPP. So you cannot use the CPP name. This is a common English here. A party withdrawing from the alliance. Underscore that is highlighted. A party withdrawing from the alliance, that is the CPP, prior to the next presidential, legislative, and local election shall not fill candidate in its what? Alliance. In its name. In the alliance name. So people are not taking time.
No, that makes sense grammatically, but
Okay.
the CPP people are saying the intent of this is if you withdraw, you can use your own party's name, because by coming together as a CPP, you and we are using your ANC or UP or ALP logo. It means that when you go away, you cannot take your Unity Party logo and use it. In other words, you cannot.
I think, Mr. Jar, these provisions have, I think there are three parts into this provision. It acknowledges that there are individual political parties that form the alliance.
Correct.
And these individual political parties can withdraw. The second issue is that this provision acknowledges that anybody of the alliance can withdraw. But to do that, there are steps that you need to follow. When you follow those steps and you are allowed to go, means any election, you cannot contest or put forth candidates in the CPP's name, in the alliance name.
And that makes sense, Anthony, because and here is why what you are saying make a lot of sense.
Because we shouldn't be talking about sense, we should be saying what the law says. So from what you are reading, you may not be a lawyer, but grammatically you can understand what is being written in the 8.5.
I'm agreeing with you. Okay. Because prior to this, political parties in the CPP were not running in their own name. They were running in CPP's name.
Right.
So if you are leaving, that means you cannot run in CPP's name. So it makes sense what you're saying.
And that's what their own law is saying. So let us assume that is what they want to take to the Supreme Court. Why do you think the Supreme Court is going to tell them?
No, so what you are saying, in essence, ANC telling Unity Party that you cannot run as Unity Party, it doesn't make any sense, because that's not what 8.2 is saying.
No, 8.5 is saying few things. 8.5 is first saying if you don't withdraw, that means you're still part of the alliance.
Yeah.
All right? If you not withdraw, you're still part of the alliance. If you not withdraw by following these steps, the steps laid down as how we handle disputes in our CPP. If you don't follow these steps, you're still part of us.
Right.
It's like a woman, you got married, right?
Yeah.
And then you and a woman having some argument, a woman leaves, she go to her grandpa's place.
Right. Say God forbid, because I don't want my woman to leave.
I don't want you again. Then you sit down in there, okay, my son, I don't want you. Then you say, start doing your own thing now. The woman doing your own thing. I'm not saying that you know, I know you are a responsible man, right? Then you see some scenario here. All right. So you know the steps to get married and to divorce.
So when but that's not what the ANC is, the CP is before the NEC for. They are before the NEC because they don't want Unity Party to run as Unity Party. No, they are not saying you didn't withdraw from also you can't go. That's not what they are saying.
No, but you know why? This is the point. They reach a point where every one of them want to defend their positions. So it's not just what they perceive, it's what you must say, what are these guys up for? The document that they are arguing upon is in ANC favor right now as the position goes, both at the NEC and at the magisterial court, is in ANC favor. Now, maybe you people will get first with me, right, when I say this. Because why? They have a piece of law that they themselves have carved. And this law is what is being challenged before the NEC. And the NEC is clear on her position already. Hearing officer has spoken, say, wait a minute, as far as we're concerned, this document is valid.
Yeah.
And because they say it's valid, it means then that UP cannot contest as UP, but UP must contest as an alliance. The ALP cannot contest as ALP, but the ALP must contest until the ALP and the UP can go and follow the steps by challenging this document that is before the ALC. They are still considered as part of the alliance, despite the outside noise.
And I wish that was the case the ANC were presenting.
And that's a fight. That's a fight of it. I don't have to like ANC.
No, but what I'm saying is the way you are saying it now, that's not what the ANC is saying.
What's the ANC saying?
The ANC is saying because you claim to leave the alliance, so do not run as UP. If you want to run as independent or run as Black Eye Party, something else. But you cannot run as Unity Party. That's what the ANC is saying.
No, I think the reason why ANC you cannot run as ALP or UP is because they are still part of the alliance. So they cannot run as separate parties. The crust of it is the line is the 8.5. Whether they say it right there on.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Then because I've talked to them, I've interviewed them, I've spoken to them over and over. Mm. So I asked them, what is it that you are saying? Are you saying that they are still part of the alliance, or they have withdrawn, so they shouldn't use their own name? They say, well, since they say they withdraw, so we consider them, they are out. So if you are out, you can run as Unity Party.
And that's an error on the part of the ANC that when they say that, because the fight here is the law that they all carved. And you see what NEC has called the matter short. NEC has just reminded the both parties. It's not what they say. When you carve a piece of law, that law supersedes all other argument. All other street argument, we will consider that as street argument. If the ANC herself does not understand the 8.5, NEC is saying, look, you know why? This is a law. As far as we consider you guys, you people still part of the CPP, the alliance. The alliance is still valid. All right? In their view, because of the street argument, I'm not part of the CPP. Okay, CPP say, those who still consider CPP, they say, okay, yeah, we agree. You're not part of it. That's why they all arguing, right? They are not arguing on the basis of the law. The law says, as far as the law is concerned, and I've said this before even NEC came out, I said it, as far as the CPP document, framework document is concerned, the alliance still holds. As far as concerned, they are still married. The UP-ALP are married to CPP until they can divorce. So when the UP and ALP fail to divorce, that marriage still holds. Whether they go in their own corner, they live in their own life, they do whatever, when it comes to legitimacy, legal matters, they will point to that framework document. And that's why they don't want to accept. When you explain like this, they feel that you're taking side or you are a partisan. I'm not a partisan of ANC, but that's a hard fight.
So let's say today, if the Unity Party claim that their representative in that race is representing CPP, what happens?
If they say represent CPP, the National Election Commission will dwell on the right. The CPP feeling a candidate. The CPP is not feeling a candidate, and that's a good point for reconciliation. If they all want to understand what their own framework document is saying, if they were to call Alexander, you know why we all have come this far, and political parties should be able to do this. We need to reconcile our differences. This is what we have come. If there was a resolution I put before the National Election Commission and say, wait a minute, the CPP has understood our own problem, and we come here and say, wait, we, the CPP, put forth, how you call it, Kotuma?
Yeah.
Kutima, right?
We
put forth, okay, Galakbai will put forth him as CPP candidate.
Anthony, it's not what you say, it's what you file with the NEC. So if you did not file with the NEC as CPP, you can in the middle of the game say, hey.
No, but wait a minute. I know that there's some point of convenience, right? Mm-hmm. And the purposes for election is to have participation. The NEC can bend over some time. Let us assume that this CPP group were able to come out now. This is something that I wouldn't be very definite say that the NEC will make their own decision if that was the case, right? But if the CPP, all of those guys came together and say, no, we don't want to lose this by-election. So we have to understand here, henceforth, we have to file a resolution, all of us will sign, and then we present our case before the National Election Commission. The Election Commission will convene and will look at these matters. Maybe very likely they could. I'm saying very likely because that's a decision that the commissioners themselves will have to take. But I'm convinced that, in my own opinion, the National Commission, because the framework document accept the CPP in good principle and they be certificated to operate on that basis.
Right.
So if they did that, they can withdraw the first representation or presentation that this guy was on the UP ticket and refile and call and appeal to the commissioners to accept a CPP candidate like this fellow. Other than that, the UP and ALP cannot feel a candidate.
And you know that's not going to happen. They're not going to. It's too late.
I know. I mean, that's.
But here is my question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the basis of the NEC not putting the name of the UP candidate on the ballot or on the list? What is their reason? Is it because they are still part of the CPP, or is it because since they withdrew, they can't feel a candidate in Unity Party's name? What is their reason?
The hearing officers ruling. I read that ruling, and it says, as far as they are concerned, the document is before them is still valid, and because it is valid, it means all the provisions in there they're upholding it on this challenge. Meaning, then they cannot. I think it's the if you read the third to the last paragraph.
Yeah, I will put that on the screen
for
us to read it, because it says, wherefore, therefore, which is, I mean, I don't know why these legal people write like this.
No, I think you would have gone to the third to the last paragraph.
Of the whole sheet. Okay, I will get that.
All right. The third to the last paragraph says clearly that the National Election Commission, consider this document valid until it is challenged. It's written in this ruling. All right. I may be wrong, but just somewhere between the third to the last paragraph, not the last paragraph. So when you read the ruling, it's telling you that, and it tells you, since the two people are claiming constitutional issue, we don't have authority over that. If you want to raise any constitutional issue, the Supreme Court is there. You can go there. So the Supreme Court, if they go before the Supreme Court can decide to review, because they're going to send the entire file from the National Election Commission to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to review the entire file, and they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, National Election Commission, you are wrong. You need to put this man, name on the ballot. Or, hey, National Election Commission, you are right. We uphold the decision of the National Election Commission. Hey, guys, you guys have to go by and do A, B, C, D. We're done with you guys. In fact, they're not going to tell them what to do. They're just going to tell them, say, this is what the law is, and this is what the law should be, and that's what we stand. We uphold the decision of the National Election Commission. Until then, the NEC...
My last question, complete your thought.
Until then, the NEC has done, in my view, my opinion is that the NEC decision doesn't seem to be political, in my view. It's just what the law is, their own laws, their own agreement is what the NEC is presenting to them. And any sound person could see that there is no way that these people can withdraw without filing a petition, and that petition be heard, and there be a ruling on that petition to tell them the status of the withdrawal, whether they can withdraw or not. The National Election Commission is not going to deny them their withdrawal. It is a constitutional right for them to withdraw, but that withdrawal must follow the procedure laid out.
And tell me whether this is in law or not, or maybe I heard it somewhere. Intent versus interpretation. So if you look at that CP 8.5, section 2 especially, the intent there is, we're in this marriage, we came together to defeat Judge Weir, and so we must stick together.
Right.
So to prevent us, any of you from leaving, we're going to bind you more. So what we're going to do is, if you leave, you're on your own. If you leave, you become useless. You cannot run. You cannot field candidates in your own party's name. So that's the intention, to keep them together so that nobody leaves. Even though some will say, yeah, let me finish. Okay. So I'm saying, I've spoken to ANC, I've spoken to CPP people say the intention here is just to keep us together in a marriage perpetually, so that
Mm.
nobody leaves. So we make it difficult that when you leave, you cannot run on your in your own name. So that's the intention. The interpretation now, as you have stated, is that eight represent alliance. So you
Mm.
cannot fill your candidates in the alliance name.
You
So
know,
intention versus interpretation, which one supersedes the other?
the intention of the framers now, there's something Justice Scalia said. You have to be careful when you say the intention of the framers, because the framers, like the lawmakers that we have at the Capitol building, right? Just to
Right.
make it simple, they themselves most often don't even read the laws that is passed, or that is printed into handbill.
Mm.
Most often, you have the secretariat that is actually making decisions, crossing those T's, and sometimes adding some words in there.
Mm.
So the intent of the framework, now that's legal issue. I'm not going to dwell on that more. But what I'm saying to you, the law is the law. If you carve a piece of law and you didn't understand it, when the law is filed, when it's printed into a handbill, there is the interpretation of the law is squarely left with the administrative body, like in this case, the National Election Commission. The
Mm.
courts, they are the people who can say what the law is. The chairperson of political parties cannot say what the law is.
Right.
This 8.5 interpretation is not left with the political parties.
Who
Is not
care for
left.
your intention anyway? We're going to
Yeah.
interpret it.
So the intent for writing this thing was for what? Was for them to hold together, was for them to follow procedural steps to withdraw. The written instrument that you myself have read, it clearly
Mm.
says you are part of the alliance. To leave, you must follow these,
Steps.
steps. So
Yeah.
if you don't follow these steps, the intent to hold will force you to be part of us until you can follow this. So these steps
Un-
were
Until
created so that,
until death do us part.
right.
Let me see if I can. That is still too small. So let me see if I can read that last paragraph that you mentioned in that document, and
Okay.
see if we can see that clearly. I think this is better, right?
Right, it's good.
So this is the rule in the background,
Yeah, good.
and the legal requirement of forming this collaboration. I mean, this the framework, they did a very lousy job, and that's why they are where they are today. They talk about a withdrawal clause. Is so before the wherefore is
um
having said this,
let me see. Okay, right. This hearing notes
you're
that
right.
in keeping, okay,
Okay, let me read that.
yeah,
This hearing notes that in keeping with the practice and procedure here at the NEC, when a party submits a notarized instrument, such as a governing document to the NEC, the presumption here is that the same is valid and remains as such
underscore that.
until successfully challenged in
Very good.
keeping
Underscore the
with due
second one.
process.
Right. So the two words are there. The document is valid until what? A successful challenge in
Right,
keeping with due process. Due process is that you file a petition, the petition is the parties are called, and then the hearing goes on the hearing officer rule. Until that takes place,
right,
the people will be crying all around the place. You can go to the Supreme, you come back, you have to go back and do that thing. You don't do it, 2023 election, the big party, you're not going to be part of it. The
thank
UP
you.
and the
Ladies and
EFP.
gentlemen, if you are just joining us, I'm in conversation with Anthony James and Jensen. We are discussing the latest development in the CPP and Cummings cases, and specifically the NDC ruling being upheld by the Board of Commissioners. Our next issue here is with the Cummings case,
Right.
where Mr. Cummings is in court for forgery. And from what I read, this is misdemeanor. If he's guilty, he's going to be going to jail for 1 year. Now, the latest that we've heard is
And according to 7C4, you would like to go do what?
he said we'll teach when you finish with him, we'll teach at GW Gibson. And that's a great school. I don't know
Okay,
why I do
okay.
not want to teach there.
All
But the
right.
latest is Serena Cephas, Councillor Sema Serena Cephas, according to the story, what we read, is he sent a text message to journalist or talk show host or, or Stanton Witherspoon. And here is the text message. And in effect, the text message is saying all this thing that is happening, I'm not part of it. Somebody here is calling the shot. Okay, so let me something is blocking me here. So the misinformation is going on about my role. So there's a misinformation going about my role in the
Mhm.
Alexander B. Cummings and other trial. But the truth is, it was the Minister of Justice, Councillor Frank Musa Dean, who ordered the reissuance of the writ of arrest against them after it was first quashed. Under Liberian law, he is the only person who can disagree with the president or the government on the question of law and still keep his job. And he's the only person who can order the matter to be dismissed. I'm only a prosecutor who is acting under his control and supervision, but he's afraid to take a firm decision and believes that I will unilaterally abandon the case so that he can use it against me. To the government and the people of Liberia, my role is like a frontline commander only acting on instructions. Look at the waves of crimes in the country, and there are no arrests and prosecution, and yet there is a justice minister who believes his role is being served by someone like me, whose role is simply to go to court, etc., etc., etc. That's the text message, as we read in the news, was sent from the SG to Mr. Stanton Witherspoon while Mr. Cummings was on a show having an interview. What do you make of this text? Is it something that we can use? Is it valid document? Is it something that is we can hold on to has been legit?
The document is not valid. I listened to Serena Sifos who tried to, he in fact said he could not confirm, neither deny until he gets to know who disclosed that text message. Now, if somebody has a phone number of where that text came from, and if it's a question of going for the call log and know where that text message came from, it can be used in a court of law, meaning that you have sufficient evidence that it came from Serena Sifo's phone or the phone that he's using. They'll know all of the phone numbers that Serena Sifo's been using. In the absence of that, that is just one of those gossips. All right, I would term it. You can use that in a court of law. Serena Sifos can deny it, except there's clear evidence, like what I'm saying. If this was something to say, you know what, maybe Spoon FM guy say, you know what, Serena Sifos sent this to me. I can testify he sent this to me. This is the number. Every text message that comes to you, Jai, you know where that text coming from, right?
Right.
Now, if the Spoon FM reporter can confirm that indeed this number came from Serena Sifo's phone, then of course you can use that in a court of law. In the absence of that, Serena Sifo can deny it, can call you and say, "Look, this is not from my phone. I don't know about it." More so, that document is not signed, right?
Right.
So you can't be Serena Sifo is denying already. He didn't deny. He said he cannot confirm, neither deny. That is, in my view, my analysis, is
Right.
highly possible that Serena Sifo wrote that text.
Right.
All right,
So,
but
so how can it be established that he wrote it? Say, let's say I in my phone and then I see message number one on maybe last week, message from Serena,
yeah,
message number two.
right.
Until now, is that the way I will prove it that yes, this is message is from Serena
The
Sifas?
guy who displayed that text on the radio
Yeah.
should have said the number from which that text came from. He would have done justice to the public if he did display the number that text came from. But as it stands, that's just a piece of writing. Anybody can write that, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine yourself writing that thing on the text message and sending it out.
And putting Serena name at the bottom, is that what you're saying?
Yes. All right. Anybody can do that, right? You can type Serena name and do anything. So the court, if that was in a court of law, no judge will take that document as it is, except you go beyond that. The reasonable doubt is that who may have written this? Okay, that's Serena Sifo. Okay, that's Serena Sifo. Can you prove that this text came from his number? This is a technological word, and
Right.
these things can be easily traced. But until then,
So
you can't use that against Serena Sifa. He will deny it. He's already
even
doing it. Finally
even
denying
if
it.
it is established that this is his number, can he say someone got in my phone and sent a
No,
message
no, you
on
can't
my
say that. You
phone?
can't say that. No, 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 no. If it is proven, if anybody can display the guy who displayed it, if he can say on the record that indeed this text came from Serena Sifos, he become a prime witness to
Okay.
testify. Anybody can use in the court of law to testify, at which time he will display all of these numbers that he believes that Serena first number, then he can use that against him. But this is what I want to say. It's a tough time for Liberia in this period. The Justice Ministry herself is not good for the Justice Minister. The Justice Minister is the Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia.
Yeah.
And I have heard some things, and I don't think he should be saying that. The Attorney General cannot say that important case like that, he's not in the know. Then the question I will ask, how is he briefing the president?
Okay. So hold that thought. Let's read the Justice Minister's letter because
Okay,
when this thing came up and the SG is saying, "Hey, don't blame me. I'm just taking orders from
from
the
Justice
Attorney
Minister.
General."
Yeah.
Attorney General said, "Not so fast." So here's what he wrote. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia has directed Solicitor General Serenius Cephas to furnish his office with the proper evidence which provides the basis for the prosecution of Alexander B. Cummings and others. The minister's directive is consistent with Section 22.2 of the Executive Law, which states that it shall be the duty of the Minister of Justice to procure and proper evidence the proper evidence for
Oh.
and conduct, prosecute, or defend all suits and proceedings in courts in which the Republic of Liberia or any officer thereof has to such officer is a party or may be interested. The minister cautioned that henceforth the prosecution of all cases must be approved by his office, and prosecutors are advised to furnish the office of the minister with the proper evidence in support of any and all prosecution. The minister noted that he is under obligation to ensure that the purpose of the prosecution is not to taunt, harass, grandstand, punish, or convict, but to pursue the truth, and that in the instant case, the writ against Alexander B. Cummings and others was never quashed, and therefore could not have been reinstated by the office of the minister.
You see, honestly, it's unfortunate that the minister will be stating his role as per statute. And what you read is just what Section 22.2 of the statute says that relates to the Justice Ministry. The Justice Minister, I said this before, there was a situation where Sabina Cephas were going too fast, and we were wondering whether there was a Justice Minister.
Yeah.
All right. So to know at this time that he has a duty, you and I are aware that there has been several cases being tried by the Justice Ministry. So if the Justice Minister is now saying that he is not in the know of most of these cases, prosecutions, then one will wonder, how is he performing his overall role to
Yeah.
provide supervision? Because the Attorney General is supposed to advise all government entities and institutions. He should know what they are doing legally. Now, he should advise the president. He can disagree with the president. So if there's a Alexander Cummings and the CPP, a high-profile political group, parties that are come together to form this collaboration. So if Alexander Cummings is in court and you as Attorney General, you are telling the public that you are not aware, it
Yeah.
raises issue as to his own ability to control that ministry. And there's a lot more going on in Liberia when it comes to the legal system. Even the US government has spoken against it, that the rule of law is not to the standard that everyone expect. So in the face of these kinds of fire coming from the justice ministry, it just proved otherwise. Now I will ask the hardest question: what is George Weah thinking of now amidst the conflict between these two high-profile persons? All right, it's not whether we like these people or not, but they are occupying a very high position. So the SG, the Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, and the Attorney General are at variance, are saying different things. Now, so what do you expect the magisterial court judge to say in this instant case? All
Hmm.
right, this case is just one of, we all be in political cycle. People were planning their own situations. We will assume because those are not things that are on the record that we can say speak to, but just from behind the scene. And I would think, when you want to look at it on a plain note, the justice minister cannot deny not knowing that
Right.
this case has been in existence. He can't
Right.
convince any reasonable
How
person.
many months has it been now?
That's the case. It's all on the newspaper. The justice minister is reading newspapers. So he can't say he's not aware. Let us assume that this case started and he was not aware what he's doing right now. He would have called Alexander Cummings to book. More so, the justice minister should be complaining, how you call it, Serena Cephas told his boss, the
Right.
president,
And the
if there's
justice
anything
minister
that's
has weighed in on the, I think it was the NEC case.
right, fine. He even read an opinion. Even that opinion,
Right.
the justice minister was wrong. And let me be on the record to say that when the trial is ongoing, in the case of there's no small court, although that was a hearing officer, but that was a tribunal, that was a court. When the trial
Right.
is ongoing, you cannot come in the middle of the trial to issue an opinion. That's sub judice in law. You cannot do that. You said something. It's like everybody was expecting the hearing officer to rule according to the justice minister's opinion,
Yeah. But
right?
let's look at the SG, right? The SG is saying that, in other words, everything I'm doing is not true. He has prosecuted this case for months under
Right.
oath. So if he's coming back to say what I'm doing is basically grandstanding or I'm lying, somebody's just telling me to do it, is he liable for anything here?
In my opinion, no. The SG has I know he's a friend, it's somebody that I know, but he has the lousy mouth. All right, he can go beyond doing something that I know. But when it comes to this trial, I know Serena Seaforth in the past, he tried to be Serena Seaforth is posterior. He's somebody who can always, want his shoulder to be up there. But is not in my reasonable mind to think that the minister is not aware. The minister is aware, but there's a conflict right now.
No,
Now, another thing we can say is
no. What
that
I'm saying is Serena is saying everything I've been doing is I'm just pretending I'm lying. In other words, because somebody's telling me to do it, but it's not true. Okay, I
no,
shouldn't have issued a
no. I
writ.
mean, they all are missing some steps. Serena C4 has a duty to prosecute cases.
Right.
In the same vein, before cases are assigned, the Ministry of Justice should have had their own discussions. I don't know how even Serena C4 is going to court. There's a team of prosecutors. You don't just
Exactly.
get up as one person and go to court. They're supposed to sit down around the table. They're supposed to debate the cases in their offices. When I was practicing law in Liberia, at the International Group of Legal Advocates, as senior as Councillor James was, even the pleading, before we submit the pleading, it becomes a matter of, even to write, we will write cancel. That was our own way of preparing our pleadings. So you can't tell me, Justice Minister, that everything you're doing in there is a mess. It's not speaking good for them. That's not how lawyers operate. Besides the conflict, that's not how lawyers operate.
But here's what the justice minister
The team of lawyers, if you telling us Seven Silver get this fire on your arm, it's like this is the fire, right? Seven Silver pick up the fire, you put it on your arm. You come from court, you put it on your arm, you put it in your car and carry it home. If that's the situation, hey, the justice minister should have called the book.
Yeah.
I can't be the head of a ministry and know my duty. Then I get some kind of person who in there, you go to court, you not can report to me. You must come and brief me. In fact, you had to write a month. If there's a weekly briefing, I don't know how to write. How do they report? Are they reporting to the president? So
But
there's a lot of things that is going on that they themselves have revealing.
do you think the text that is being attributed to Serena Sifa, do you think he's right? That actually is the justice minister pushing this line, but not me? You think he
Look,
has a point here?
in my opinion, there was some political discussion behind the scene. But as things are going right now, there's two things I look at the whole case. The US government has taken a new trend. And now this is where some of us will read in a different manner. The US government is trying to make friends with a lot of people. They want to get the support of the Liberian people. Their strategies now has changed. Has changed to the point where if you see Bangladesh then going out and doing things, they all are looking at preparing for 2023 election. So they don't want to see this kind of cases going. If you ask question, you think the trial of Kabina Jana was not to the know of all these people. They all are aware. They all are reading. The press is reporting all these things. So there's no one person who say they are not aware. If you are not aware, then it's a negligence of duty. You
Yeah.
are justice minister. You saw all those things. What were you doing?
And this is what the
So
justice minister said. He used some good words in there: taunt, harass, tarnish, grandstand, and convict. Is he accusing the SG of doing this?
no, he's not accusing. He's simply saying you cannot do these things. So very likely, in his opinion, and this is
Mm.
where if I was the president should these things should draw his attention. All right. In fact, he should be sitting with them now and asking them some questions. As president, you see your attorney general and your solicitor general are loggerhead and discussing everything in the media in a way that's not making your government to look good. And you sit there now as president, you don't even say a word. You don't even call these people. If somebody needs to be suspended or dismissed, he needs to take some actions. These are not
But
actions very likely.
let's wait for Sunday. He probably will deliver this in the sermon at the Fokekron Church. So you don't be too fast.
Yeah, okay, maybe, but we want to sometimes just see what he's thinking about because he always silent on many issues.
But this is not the first time that we have had this back and forth with the SG and the AG, right?
Okay, right.
In February 2020, Councillor Musa Dean accused Councillor Sabrina Sifas of dropping the economic sabotage case against Ellen Cochran without his consent.
Right.
It was the dismissal of that case that gave Cochran, that's why she came back 2019. Okay. And according to them, it was the SG who did this. Again, in November 2019, Deputy Information Minister at that time, Eugene Fagon, said in a press briefing that there was a rate of arrest that was prepared for Mr. Henry Costa, the head of the COP at that time. 24 hours later, Councillor Dean dismissed the pronouncement and said, nothing like that happened. There was no arrest from the court or the Minister of Justice giving such thing. So this back and forth, and trying now, Serena Sifa said the minister is just trying to make me to look bad so I can lose my job and do that, saying I'm taking away his power. So this constant back and forth, it has come in this case also, but this is not the first time.
Let me tell you something. Sometimes we sit outside, we can see what is going on. When Serena Silva was appointed from the onset, his dealings, the way he conducted himself was like trying to outsmart the minister proper. We all saw that. All right. But when people are educated, you should live by your standard, your judgment, and don't allow anybody to play on your intelligence for whatever reason. The justice minister is the attorney general. To occupy that position, no matter how smart a lawyer will be, and he works with you, that person is under your jurisdiction. If for any reason there's anything that's going on wrong, we will blame you as the head of that ministry. In this case, let us assume you have a series of cases. The attorney general can cause the president to dismiss the solicitor general. If the attorney general has presented himself very well to the president right now can even see the picture and know who is really like wrong in this matter from the cases that you just enumerated. But if the attorney general is saying maybe this whole thing here, sometimes we see it is like some tribal group, some kind of Eastern, right? So then you see it say, the way the other young man is so forceful that let me be careful with him. It's not for kid. When you have a piece of job, perform it. If somebody is dismissing you, let the person dismiss you and your conscience be clear. Other than keep it quiet, and I think that's the fault of Minister Dean. Mr. Dean is a calm man. He's a very quiet person. He's smart and what have you, but to be quiet at that level, I don't think he's doing himself justice. At this case, it's like all of them are aware of the situation. So how it's going to be fixed is only the president's intervention that can make this matter resolve and put it under control. Either somebody will have to leave that ministry, or two of them have to leave from the ministry, and you put somebody else in that ministry. Or maybe if you think talking to them, because Joe, maybe I don't know whether he's scared to dismiss people, whatever his decision will be, it's up to him.
Thank you very much. One issue before we bring in our callers, and callers, if you are here, want to join the conversation, the number is on the screen, 605-369-3268, 3136004. The code is 791-403 pound. We have one caller already, but caller, just give us a few minutes here. I want to ask about the character here, the SG,
Mm.
because you say he's flamboyant, he's posterior, he like to show off and do all this. It was heard in an audio tape talking about human heads with Ellen Cochran, who is now convicted and here in the U.S. And we know the story, other things around Ellen Cochran. There was this whole story about human heads, and that's it, nothing else. So is the character of this SG and the pattern of behavior, can it be brought into question now, especially with this disagreement with the minister proper?
If we have the Liberal National Bar Association, like in America, lawyers here are very careful, very, very careful what they do, what they say, because there's something we call the professional responsibility of all lawyers. If you say you got that big name behind you, are a lawyer, your behavior should be what? Nobody should just get up and do anything. The Liberal
Mm.
National Bar Association should be studying this case. Besides that, I'm sure the Supreme Court is looking at the matter. The president, the SG, the minister, all of these people, there are ways in which people can be investigated.
Yeah,
So there is a standard set for that. Now, it's left with the lawyers in Liberia if they feel there's anything fundamentally wrong that they can decide that, hey, Serena Sifos, it needs to be investigated. The board of how you call it? There's a board set. I mean, I've not been in
yeah,
Liberia for a long time, but these people can investigate all lawyers. Primarily, the bar association can initiate and then investigation on the part of even the Attorney General himself. But how
mm,
this thing can end, these people are presidential appointees. The
yeah,
president has the free will to dismiss anybody without anybody asking a question, even though the president was laid by the right standard, but he can also get involved in this matter. I think it's only him that can do this thing right there and see whether Sabina Seaforth's behavior, because he should have records of all the people he appoints. And he should
yeah.
have to know where and when he can take action on any of them.
Uh, last thing, or the late one of the latest development is the letter to the national legislature
Mm.
from the ANC chairman,
Right.
stating that he said, "I wish to bring to your attention a pattern of unethical conduct, abuse of power, and executive overreach by the officials of the Ministry of Justice targeted at my person and those of other prominent citizens of the Republic of Liberia, specifically the Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, Councillor Seamus Serena Cephas, is alleged to have revealed in a text message to a talk show host, Stanton Witherspoon, which was read during a live interview with political leader of the ANC, Mr. Alex Cummings, on Sunday. It states that a conspiracy by Justice Minister Musa Dean to have me and others arrested and indicted on charges of forgery and criminal conspiracy. So, and the letter go on, saying this
Mm.
thing. So, this case now has been sent to the legislative branch of government.
Well, I'm believing that Senator Nathan is one of those that is before the magisterial code, right?
Right.
It is Nathan Cummings and someone else,
I think I
and
lost just to the councillor
yeah.
too.
So these persons, since there's a case ongoing now, the doctrine of separation of powers must also be observed. If for any reason there are additional fights unfolding on an existing case, there
Right.
are procedures that lawyers should take to notify the court. So if you're taking this matter to the Liberian Senate, I will be wondering what Senator Nathan wants to achieve. Since indeed this case is before, why couldn't he allow his lawyers to file a motion to inform the court? Since that's a matter. Howbeit, the Liberian Senate can have these discussions. They have the right and oversight responsibility to invite anyone to hear from them, but I would see this as something that the Senate may not want to open for discussion. And
Mm.
that it may be seen as political because of a lot of things happening. But in my view, I would think that Senator Nathan want to raise the issue where you must start discussing the letter and the case that is ongoing, and even if there was any additional thing and insult on his person and what have you. So to do that, I would think that the case is before the ministerial court judge, and I think Joma Jala will have to hurry up. If you want to dismiss that case, let him dismiss it, because it's like he knows what is ongoing. I know Juma very well. He just controlling a lot of things over there. But this is not a case that he can rule, and that's my opinion. That's not a
Thank you.
case that anyone could say, hey, Elizabeth Cummings is a criminal. He has no evidence before him so far to convince him as a court to say there was a criminal act in the face of the hearing at the National Election Commission, which should have been the origin of any complaint that should have gone before the ministerial court.
Thank you. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to we'll first get our callers and then re-comment. Keep tuned.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. We are discussing the latest development in the ongoing cases in Liberia. Oh man, Liberia got too much politics, and we are enjoying it. My guest, Attorney James N. Jensen, he is the CEO and host of 2A Radio Network. That's the African Actions Network, 2A Radio TV. He's also a lawyer and attorney who have gone to law school, both in Liberia and here practice law in Liberia. We are glad to have you, Mr. Jensen. Let's open the phone lines now, and the first caller here. Call out your name and where you're calling from. 510 area code.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Jonathan Dolake, and I'm calling from Oakland, California. By adequate disclosure, I'm the National Deputy Secretary General of the Alternative National Congress, one of the progenitors of the CPP framework document.
Oh, wow. Jonathan, thanks for calling. Question or comment, sir?
Yeah, comment quickly. Firstly, let me establish, and I must appreciate the guest in studio, Jensen, for his deliberation, but just a very slight correction that I want to make. On 8.5 of the framework document, that section, if you read that entire section, it states clearly that the constituent party wanting to withdraw from the CPP must exhaust the dispute resolution mechanism. That it should not carry its own name. That portion of the withdrawal, it does not refer to the CPP. That pronoun refers to the constituent party that wants to withdraw. The wisdom behind it is that during the formation of the CPP, the amalgamation of Liberians towards the CPP, Liberians never wanted the CPP to divide. So they wanted something to bound them together. And that is why we all agreed that this thing should bind us together. At that time, those who are exiting the CPP now, they had the belief that the person with the lower vote judging for 2017 presidential election was Mr. Cummings. And because he has a financial one-waiter, it does not win the approbation of the CPP nomination.
Jonathan, the lowest vote was ALP, not Cummings, in the CPP.
Yeah. I'm saying, yes, the lowest are ALP. You're right. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying I'm only computing candidates at the time.
Okay.
For the CPP nomination. Mm-hmm. It was believed that some of the actors that Mr. Cummings had a lowest vote competing with Joseph Newman Bwaka. So if he had not won the nomination and being financially one-waiter, you would have gone independent or with a party name. So the suggestion came from them. but the suggestion became an admiration of the bulk majority of the Liberians to see that the alliance hold together. So that withdrawal is binding on the constituent party. That's the correction I want to make. And to the issue of the text message quickly. 2005, 2004 Liberians' phone numbers were never registered per your name and your photo. As it is now by LTA regulation, all phone numbers are registered per your name and your photo. Meaning, the text message to strengthen can be subpoenaed, it can come before a judicial body, it can be reviewed, it can be ascertained. More than that, the communication by the Justice Minister further validates what Serena Sifa text message or purported text message said.
Thank you.
And to Senator Daniel Nathan lastly, his communication is not out of bounds. There are 3 cases the attorney can exercise that when they appear before the judiciary, it cannot take full weight. Cases that have to do with ecclesiastic doctrine, political cases, and another one that I cannot name instantly now. Those cases are not cases that you can just touch away. So on the basis that the senator has been carried to court and the Solicitor General is saying otherwise than what the law requires, the senator has full jurisdiction, full authority in keeping oversight to communicate with colleagues that this is unconstitutional, this is against the doctrine of the law that governs us as a country. And the one who appoints the firm must review that person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Let me take the next caller here, and that is Mr. Kesali Double.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. John, and thanks to your guest in the studio. Mr. John, I'm not a legal person, and I don't claim to be one. But from a little bit of reading that I've done in school, it says that any legal document that has ambiguity in, the best person to clarify the ambiguity is the writer of that document. I don't know if I'm wrong or not. And I don't know how well your guest is following the hearing. Because if he was following the hearing, or if he is following the hearing, the one that had a neck, he would know that the neck was not even willing to discuss the whole thing that had to do with fraud. Because the United Party brought out all of the documents, all of the copies of the framework documents, except the one that the neck had in our possession. But the only one that neck was willing to discuss on was the fraudulent one in our possession, not the one United Party brought forth. And right on your program on FOL, just Saturday, I think it's the wrong person I'm going to be asking the question to. The Secretary General of the ANC, Alonso, stated clearly that they printed the framework document black and white, printed before presented to the net. And according to all of the other people in the ANC, in the whole CPP, they stated clearly that all of their communications have been done in color. So why would the ANC go and take upon themselves to print a black and white copy before presenting to the net? And who gave the ANC that authority to print that document in black and white to present to the National Election Commission? That is my question. I don't know as to whether you can answer that question, but I really want to launch out to himself or someone from the ANC highlighted to answer that question.
The thing about the black and white, I thought it was anyway. Thank you. I thought it was more.
Just listen to the time you were on the show. He himself said that they printed it in black and white. He didn't say he printed it. He allowed us to say that. It's right there for the show. And then I know you had to record it. Just listen to it. In the 1 hour and 12 minutes, that was a reminding me.
Thank you. Thank you. And disclaimer here, you are a Bwaka supporter, right? All right, let me bring on Mr. Elvis Morris. Elvis, you are live.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. Quickly, thanks to your guests as well. I think if Mr. Double was listening keenly, the previous caller before him clearly stated that he was one of the framers of that document, and I think he clearly stated what their intention was. So that was my question. My original question to the lawyer in studio was going to be, how can he presume what the intention was, in terms of whether it's, name was referring to the party's individual names or the constituent party, name. So I think that framer answer my question, and then perhaps once I get up the line, the guest can maybe argue against what the framer said. And then quickly to the Solicitor General, obviously I think we all agree that he needs to be fired. He's obviously stepping over his bounds, and he should not have even had that position in the first place. That's a man of questionable character, getting back to his days from child stealing and being, allegedly involved in the rebel fighting during the time in Maryland. So I think George Weah is starting to become somewhat of a tainted character, surrounding himself with unscrupulous people. So thank you again for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Last caller here before, and that is that Kilby Quincy? Call your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, my name is Quincy Kilby.
Okay, I was right.
Yeah, thank you for your show. I was just going to ask the legal expert on your show about the Comey case. What did he think about Serena Silver extracting evidence in the case? I mean, because it seems like nobody want to talk about it, but I mean, being in America is a big thing, because that's one of the reasons why Bill Cosby was set free, not because he didn't do it, but because the prosecutor went all about him. So I did want to hear what he has to say about Serena Silver extracting evidence away from the case that were going to benefit Mr. Cummings.
Right, and you referring to that text messages?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
No, say go ahead. What you say? All right. Attorney Jensen, you heard the question. The first one talk about the it's referring to the party and not the CPP, and the second person talk about the FA being in black and white. Why is it black and white instead of color? 3, how do you know the intent of the framework? That the 8 refer to the alliance, and last caller say what you make of the SG extracting documents, text messages, and say, oh, this was just an error. What you make of that?
Okay, firstly, we know that there's a lot of arguments outside there, and there are people who have their opinion. We can undo those opinions. But the issue of grammar, the framework's intent is well expressed in what is being printed. So it's about how do we all understand this paragraph. This provision is in parts. If you read it very carefully, now the entire sentence is into part. A constituent party desiring to withdraw from the CPP shall first exhaust the dispute resolution mechanism stipulated in this framework document, period.
Full stop, yes.
That's a sentence, right?
Yeah.
That sentence ends. And what is the purpose of that sentence? The purpose of that sentence is to tell you that any constituent party, before you can disagree or go away, you must follow what? The dispute resolution mechanism that is stipulated. So the purpose of that sentence is being achieved. Now, when you go down further down, it says, if the constituent party which has certified the dispute resolution mechanism is not satisfied with the outcome, it shall file a resolution to withdraw from the CPP, signed and duly executed by 2/3 of 8 National Executive Committee. You have a comment over there, all right? And then that also has a purpose. What's the purpose of that? How you call it? Not
the clause.
The clause, right? The clause has been achieved. What is it all about? That clause says any constituent party, if you went through all the mechanisms, you're not certified, you have an option. That option is what? You must file a resolution to withdraw. That's why it says. Then you go to this other clause phrase. It says it's being understood. That's not so much significant to me here. However, let's start from this other one. However, that a party withdrawing from the alliance, what is it? They put it in the bold writing. What is the purpose of that? Now, if you are interpreting interpretative law, provision, statute, there are certain things that writers want us to understand. Somebody highlighted the alliance, that a party withdrawing from what? The alliance. They make it big. They say, okay, saying you can't understand small writing, don't make it big. So you can understand, prior to the next presidential, legislative, and local election, shall not field a candidate. What? The alliance. And if that party withdrawing from the alliance,
Right.
Shall not field candidates in its name. Shall not field a candidate in its name. So you are a party to this alliance.
Right.
That you challenge it. So if you challenge this party, you went through the formalities and everything. If you want to withdraw and you are allowed, then you can't carry the alliance name. More so, since I'm talking about intent, just a minute, since you're talking about intent, right now we have another law that supports this law, that is the ruling from the hearing officer that says this provisions is making reference to people who withdraw cannot use CPP name. That decision also has been withheld by the Board of Commissioners. So if you ask me for my opinion, how do I know? I'm saying that the hearing officer said the same thing, the Board of Commissioners said the same thing, except now someone wants an interpretation from the Honorable Supreme Court. Then when you go there, maybe the Supreme Court can disagree with us. But as it stands, my reliance now is this law is making reference to the CPP, the entire clause. That was CPP, withdrawn from the CPP.
And here's what others are saying. They let's use after however, which is this other clause, that a party. So it means that if we're looking for subject, party is the subject. So if we talk about it, so that it is coming back referring to party, not alliance, because alliance is like the object of this whole thing. A party withdrawing from the alliance. That party should not field a candidate in its name, not alliance name. So what others are saying is this it here refer to the party, which is the subject of this clause.
Well, that's a good point. And as I said, the purpose for which we are here is to give interpretation to what is before us. And the entire provisions in there, what is the purpose of that provision? Now, to use interpretative means is what is the object? What is the main reason why the provision exists? It exists because political parties have entered into an alliance. So the alliance will field a candidate. And if you don't want to field a candidate, you can break away. When you break away until you can do whatever you want to do, nobody is going to stop. Let me say this. If the National Election Commission accepted a petition, agree to a petition, try and rule that the UP is indeed a party of her own, she has broken away, the LS certificate, they consider it null and void, the ALP is going her own way. There is no way that the National Election Commission can deny a party to fee a candidate if she went through all of the mechanisms, due process clause. So if that is an argument for me, I don't think it holds. It's not even an argument for anyone to think about, to say, well, because of this, we want to, not uphold the provisions of our framework document. The clear matter here is the National Election Commission must receive a petition, must hear the petition, and must rule. When they should have done that, the UP can fee a candidate on her own. It doesn't even have to be written. As long as the only reason why we are arguing is that the UPP, the UP, the ALP, they decided to put their own article of incorporation on the table and allowed this alliance document, framework document, to exist. So if you went away from the alliance, the rationale is that you will not fee a candidate in the name of the alliance. But on your own, if you follow the procedure, there's no way I will sit there and say, hey, you can't fee a candidate on your own. Because I know the political party is registered, is a full-fledged political party that operates under the laws of the country. So assuming that you went through the mechanism, you withdrew from the alliance, indeed, there's no way that anyone can be stopped from feeding a candidate on their own.
And here's what Mo Ali said, and that's what Evans quoted. Mo Ali claiming that such a clause was not even included in the document filed with the NEC. According to the UP, this clause was inserted by Mr. Cummings, and that's why they are in court. So they don't even want to argue that, because this was not there. So if it is established that Mr. Cummings and the ANC actually added this after the fact, illegally added this, then they are free to go.
But this is the point we are arguing, and people think that we are supporting Alexander Cummings when discussing in this form and manner. Mo Ali knows very well that he's into this marriage. Nobody is saying Cummings didn't do these things. It's not my position to say Cummings didn't do it. But all I'm saying, Mo Ali and others are aware the procedural steps to follow to prove beyond all reasonable that Cummings did this. I am not saying Cummings didn't do this, but you have not challenged the process, the framework document. Yeah. How you do it is not by sitting in the corner, it's not by calling press conferences, it's not by going to the magisterial court, it's by filing a petition with the National Election Commission. That's all we're saying here. It is highly possible that when you go through the procedural steps, you could establish clearly that Cummings indeed did tamper with this document. But as it stands, I can sit here and say Cummings indeed is a criminal, he did. There's no evidence before me. And from what we are reading, Cummings has not been challenged. The framework document has not been challenged, where the National Election Commission is the tribunal necessary for the framework document to be challenged. And if evidence is in a position of Mo Ali and others, they should accept it. They should take a bull by the horn. It's not about maybe imagining things. Just get up tomorrow morning. Okay, hey, we have this thing before. We must end it. We must end it. We have evidence. We can prove it. Go before the National Election Commission. The National Election Commission can read. They know whether you have a black and white before them, and there is a color copy of what have you things. So if you think you have the evidence here, why don't you do what you're supposed to do and prove Alexander Cummings indeed he did this? But if you say having press conferences on it's not a procedural steps. You just wasting your own time.
On this issue of color, black and white, Mariah Seaton is saying, Dr. Mariah Seaton, I have never seen professional or legal documents in black and white. Mayfield Deco say, who told ANC to print the document in black and white when NEC has been accepting all the other documents in color? So what do you know about this black and white thing and the NEC?
Well, black and white document now, I don't want to speak to this thing. That's what I said. The matter before those who have the evidence that whether black and white or color, but I'm aware as a lawyer, most of the pleading that is done in Liberia, we do it on white sheets and what have you. Now, if this framework document was done in color and submitted to the National Election Commission or whatever happened, if the people have the strong evidence, all I'm saying to them is that there is a procedural step you can follow to indeed indict this guy, to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that indeed the black and white, if it's a strong evidence that you have in your position, why don't you follow the procedure? That's what we're saying. Nobody's saying, hey, Cummings is right or Cummings didn't do it. All you're saying, take the mechanism provided, go through the process and prove your case. And I think somebody talked about NEC, okay, that's in black and white stuff, right?
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, tinted carrot. And now when it comes to Serena Seaforth, we can sit here and say Serena Seaforth, he's a criminal, he's this, he's that. He's one of those persons the president of Liberia trusted or trust. And that's why Serena Seaforth is occupying the position he occupies.
Yeah.
If there are a group of citizens who think otherwise, and you think the president can listen to you, file a petition with the president. Oh, this person, there's this clear evidence that we have. And the president will probably listen to you people and dismiss this fellow. Other than that, this is a person the president trusts. He works at the will and pleasure of the president. And we can't talk nothing about that. You can talk all you have, but George, we have confidence in Serena Seaforth. So it is. We can come and discuss the issues. And we don't want to go into that. A person knows Serena Seaforth. I know what I know about Serena, what I've said. Serena is boastful. He likes to show up. He likes to put Serena is a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. But indeed, he's a boastful fellow. So when somebody feels that he has some criminal records and other things, file a petition with the president. The president should be able to listen to his people. So if the president doesn't listen to your people, then it's up to you guys and the president you're elected. But if the president decides to take action on his appointee because there's clear evidence before him, the president can dismiss Serena Seaforth. Even the Attorney General himself. If his action happens some problems, you think you must complain him to the president should be able to listen to the people, listen to the facts, and he can take action. He can dismiss the Attorney General, he can dismiss the Solicitor General. So it's now we can only discuss this thing. I hope the president is listening. He can take some of these discussion and decide which way to go.
Thank you. Atmeke Salif said, just because the hearing officer reached a decision and said decision affirmed by the Board of Commissioners, who may also have been in error, doesn't make this decision right.
Well, that's true, because we have three steps. We have three steps to follow. The hearing officer needs to take an action. He did. The Board of Commissioners confirmed it. Nobody is saying, but from our rational decision, we can say what we think. Even the Supreme Court will say, we can predict what the Supreme Court is going to say. But that doesn't mean the case has rested. The parties can decide to take an appeal from the Board of Commissioners and go to the Supreme Court. And the court will definitely listen to the parties the same way. Okay, but if I'm involved, because we say it today, those of you that are listening, if the matter go before the Supreme Court, there are a few questions the Supreme Court are going to be asking them. What are you here for? They're going to say, what? We entered this agreement, we did A, B, C, D, we withdrew because there was some foul play, some document I was talking about tampered with. Why do you think the Supreme Court is going to be asking that? Or a document was tampered with, what duty did you perform?
Right.
All right? The Supreme Court is going to ask them, what did you do? Or you want us to do what you failed to do? The Supreme Court is not going to do it for them. The Supreme Court is just going to interpret all of the pieces of evidence they provided at the trial, at the National Election Commission, is that issue that going in the file to the Supreme Court. And the court is going to listen to that. And when the court's finished, the court can either confirm or, hey, say, look, this thing, NEC, you are wrong. You must go back on the matter. But this is a framework document that's in the position of other guys. So how do they handle it is not the way to proceeding.
Thank you. One of the latest issue, and then Charles Barkley is asking the question about the case with the NEC chairperson, right? That the bomb there was placed by Chairman Musa Belete of the LP, and in fact they are saying Musa Belete drove her in his car.
You know, this is a moral issue, and I think the president of Liberia has the duty, and let me be a little careful with that. The NEC boss has a case against her. Now she's going to be conducting national election. Right. The president, if he sees that position very important and want people who are morally upright to occupy that position for purposes of transparency and accountability, they probably will say, wait, madam, I will suspend you, leave the scene for now until you handle your case.
Yeah.
All right? But is Judge going to do that? No. Again, that lady is a presidential appointee. So we can have all of the problems with her. The judge where decides not to remove her. Now, political parties should be speaking on these matters. But political parties are all silent. They're fighting over little things than what they should be fighting over. Now everybody's campaigning all around the country. And those things are electoral laws that stop everybody from doing those things until the election commission can declare campaign opens. But political parties are all quiet in the place. So the president will not, if the president feels the lady and you don't put pressure on the president, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what we are. She enjoys the confidence of the president. That's the constitution of Liberia. You know, until the president decides otherwise.
Last comment here, and then we're going to be drawing the curtains. This withdrawal clause contravenes our organic law. If you use a contractual agreement scenario, if there is a breach in any contract by one party in an agreement, the aggrieved party can withdraw. Nothing should hold them to a fraudulent agreement, especially when such agreement contravenes the Constitution.
Cornelius, you are a lawyer. That's your name. I don't know you by your name, but I know your face. Cornelius, you are a lawyer.
Hamilton Zilli, not Cornelius.
Now, Cornelius, I know the person I'm thinking about. The face I'm
Oh,
looking
okay.
at. I think I know this guy. This should be Cornelius where? Cornelius Winner. This should be Cornelius Winner. We've been using different names, but I know the face. So all I'm saying here, let us assume all of what he said is true. We're saying the same over and over. Let us assume the document is fraudulent, a contravening the Constitution. How do we prove that? Is it by just discussing these things? No, it doesn't work that way. Let's say I bring this thing to the marital situation. You got married in a court. You and your wife having problem. How do you get to say no? We're not married again. Do you go all around the place, say, oh, I'm living by our grandpa, living with our grandpa, and living on my own? You having girlfriend or you having boyfriend around that had a divorce get on? No, it doesn't work that way. There's a procedural steps as to how you disassociate. Marital issue and also association. You associate, you got married, and then there's the marital law that binds you people together. To say you no longer married, you must have filed that petition for a divorce. Until then, you are married. And I'm sure you people don't want to hear that. They just feel like, and this is a jar. And sometimes people should understand that when the Constitution says you have a right to associate and disassociate, is not an end, is not an end in itself. There are extra steps you take to associate. Right. The association law of Liberia is clear. There's reason why you go and file an article of incorporation to run a political party. Or else you could just go around, get people around, and then you say, okay, you political party, and you're going around doing a lot of stuff. Why people want to just think that you can just say, hey, I've called a press conference and say, no, I'm no longer part of this association, you back up. Why should people think it should just be that way? You are married, you should file a divorce. Is that difficult to do, or you just want to have that, stubborn mind? You say, no, all we have a constitutional right. Okay, go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will tell you what probably you don't want to hear. Then what will happen next? I like the procedural steps. Go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court going to tell you what the law is. Since you don't want to believe what other people are saying, go to the Supreme Court. The only thing you will hear again, they might say the Supreme Court is a partisan Supreme Court because probably they don't rule in their favor, right? But this is a matter you have a way out. NEC has ruled, you still have a way out. That way out is take an appeal to the Supreme Court. Let the Supreme Court speak so that we all can put this into bed.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jensen.
And just one thing, Nathaniel Nathan, indeed, he's a senator. He has all right to put all matters before the Liberian Senate. But all that we have said, Nathaniel Nathan, his letter, if you read the letter, is making mention of this identical case that is with the magisterial court.
Daniel Nathan.
Daniel Nathan, right? Okay, and he's a party to this case.
Yeah.
So the Liberian Senate can decide to go through their formality, but let's figure out what you think going to be the decision of the Senate if they had a hearing. Call the Justice Minister, the Solicitor General, or maybe all the parties that he said were injured, call Alexander Cummings, because he said Alexander Cummings was injured, he was injured, and all of those stuff. Do you want the Liberian Senate to open a hearing at the Liberian Senate in the midst of the magisterial court case that is ongoing? I think everybody should be calling on is the magisterial court to release this case early. If this case is done with, go ahead and decide. Shouldn't be wasting time, and all this is going on. So for this case, Nathan has a right. He's a senator. He can put any matter, anytime on the floor. So he has filed a letter already. We all follow to see what's going to happen next. But my opinion is, hey, Nathan is a party to a trial that's ongoing. Alexander Cummings. So if you complain these persons before the Liberian Senate, the Senate cannot hear this matter without calling Alexander Cummings, Nathan, and these people that he says they are all infringing on his rights. So why don't he, saying there's a case going, inform the court that is presiding? Yeah. So Force is also part of that case. Out of them, why do you think the judge cannot take some decisions on those persons? The judge has a right to find those people or to warn them.
So that's what Thank you. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., Focus on Liberia is going to be live on Prime FM 105.5 in Monrovia. Our group from the Literary Hour will be on the show to discuss the importance of cultivating a reading culture in Liberia. Scholar Jackie Sayer and Professor K. Moses Namwe will be presenting. It is the importance of cultivating a reading culture in Liberia live on FOL TV and Prime FM 105.5. Then at 8 p.m., a group, the Diaspora Engagement Program, that's a group of Liberians from the diaspora in Canada, Australia, Europe, America, and all over the place. They came together to have a virtual diaspora summit that's on Unification Day, that is May 14. So they will be right here on Focus on Liberia 8 p.m. tomorrow to discuss about the virtual summit. And then on Thursday, your favorite program, Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be discussing ethnic, regional, or county politics. Sometimes you hear, Joseph Boakai been for 12 years, vice president, what did he do for Lofa? Tubman did not build a road to Harper for 27 years. What should politicians do about their counties, or what do we perceive they should be doing? We want to discuss that. And sometimes they say, oh, you are supporting this person because you are from the Southeast. Is the South, so we're going to be discussing ethnic, regional, or county politics, who or what is responsible, and what are the impacts and implications. I will be right here. Your panelists, the best panel in internet television, Mr. Wilmon Wetty Cooney, Carl Famulek, Dr. Barton Kula, and George Preston Lobo. They will be my guests right here on Tough Talking Thursday. You don't want to miss it. Anthony, I think it's been a beautiful discussion. First of all, we asked you today after these things were developing and you consented to be here. We really appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you too long. I say thank you so much for agreeing for us to be here. Let me hear your closing comment as we draw down the curtains.
Okay, I want to also say thanks to you and your team for the good job you guys are doing. And in closing, I want to say that George Weah has a responsibility to be a president of Liberia and to exercise your right to appoint officials of government. The workings of those people, I don't know whether they are really reporting to him, but there should be not one that should not report to the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government. So what is going on at the Ministry of Justice, I'm hoping that the president will take some steps in that direction. Nobody is saying to dismiss them, but there are other ways to go, and I hope the president will follow on those things. The issue about as to the constitutional provisions and this CPP framework document, we have spoken enough on it. No, the key issue of disagreement, I think, is that people think because the Constitution says people have a right to associate and disassociate, and it's just an ultimate decision. It exists for everybody. So when you associate, it means it's freedom. When to disassociate is freedom. You don't need to go through any procedure. We want to say those who are harboring those thoughts is wrong. There's an association law in Liberia that addresses all of these things sometimes. And somewhat like in the case of political party, there is an electoral law that governs these matters. So except you want to ignore these things, if you think that people can, have a choice by will, just to walk away from any association, it doesn't work that way, like even in the case of marital case. The last thing I want to say is that the courts are the means for all of us to prove our matters. So let's assume that the ALP and the UP has a very clear case as they are pushing forth. The procedural steps are there. It's not just by leaving it and you think you can get remedy. Follow the procedural steps and then you will be heard. Very likely, you could prove your case. You could prove that Alexander Cummings indeed is, or was involved in some fraudulent act. If you did that, then we all will be saying, well, you have a case. But just to be outside of me discussing, we think you're not helping yourself. And don't sit on it. This is my open advice to the UP folks and the ALP folks. If you keep playing on this thing And 2023 is here. This same matter will be discussed in 2023 because you will file your presidential candidate's name and they say, hey, you cannot participate as a political party because you're still part of this framework document. And they don't want to hear this. But what is wrong, if I was part of those guys, what is wrong with filing with the National Election Commission to withdraw? Follow the mechanism that is being spoken about. What is wrong to do that?
No, to withdraw is not through the NEC, is it?
To withdraw is the NEC. And that's my clear position because the NEC has said it, you read it, that they consider the framework document as valid until it is challenged through a due process. Now, which court do you want to take this matter to? It's only the NEC that has that original document. The NEC is the one who conducts election. Political parties, all of those people, the NEC is a constitutional body that is responsible to hear all electoral matters. So the document is based on political parties. So it's a framework document, they all agree on. And the NEC certified them. It's based on the notarized copy that NEC certificated them to exist as a political party, as a collaborative political party.
True.
So to disassociate from that certification, you must go through certification of marriage, certification of collaboration, similarity. So go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. If you don't do that, once again, we say you may not take part in 2023 election. And don't embarrass the women. Those of you who want the women to contest.
Thank you so much. Hamilton Zilli say, Anthony Jensen, I'm not Cornelius, I'm Hamilton Zilli. And
okay.
I know Hamilton
Okay, Zilli. I think there's some similarity, I'm sorry, but the face look very, very, very similar.
Daniel Dennis say, can you please extend my greetings to Mr. Jensen? So I want to do my part. Daniel say hi. Again, thank you so much. We want to thank our viewers for watching tonight. Continue to watch us here at Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, from me to you, we say thank you again. We always close with our song that says, whether you believe the document was tampered with, whether you believe the CP document should hold or not, we are all Liberians, and let us do our best to keep Liberia as that clean, glorious land of liberty. Good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.